All right. I was thinking we could start today by checking out the release notes. 0.15.1 just dropped, and it seems like they skipped 0.15.0. At least I couldn't find a release tied to that version. But yeah, this is great news. We'll see what kind of update. We'll go through a little bit, not like deep dive into everything, but I'm just gonna skim through a little bit and see what is relevant to my projects here. But I am going to see if I can upgrade to 0.15.1, since it is the official release, latest release right now. And so let's see here. 0.15.1 release notes. Right, so let's see. This release features 5 months of work, changes from 162 different contributors. Wow, that's a lot of people. Spread among 647 commits. Okay, cool. Debug compilation is 5 times faster with Zig's x86 backend selected by default. Okay, cool. Very, very nice. Getting some faster compilation times is always nice, and 5 times is incredible. The work in progress, Arch 64 backend hot on its heels. Okay. Well, we'll see what we can apply to the project here. Meanwhile, the WriterGate scandal, along with a slew of language changes and standard library cuts, rocks the boat with tidal waves of breaking API changes, the harbinger of async await resurrection, the last bastion defending language stabilization. Okay, I'm not familiar with this. Not sure. Scandals? Previous scandals? What's this? Previous scandal? Allocgate. Oh, there's like Zig scandals. I didn't know about this. What is this? The mem allocator interface has changed in a breaking way. In short summary, here's now how we change your code. Is this relevant to... Oh, this is 0.9. Okay. Changed... Okay, so they changed from pointer allocators to just this now. All right, so yeah, this is basically how we do it right now, so that's not an issue. I'm just gonna check something here real quick. All right. Okay, so right. Okay, so that was like the previous like huge, I guess, breaking change they did. Like, I mean, it is. I don't feel like that's scandals. I think they are sort of, you know, playing on the words a little bit, or well, maybe not playing on the words, but you know, just having fun with it. It's not really a scandal. It's just like, you know, it is a pre 1.0 whatever version, and so there will be sort of breaking changes that will do that. I'm curious about what is this WriterGate though. All existing standard IO readers and writers are deprecated. Right. Okay. So I did hear about this. They are deprecated in favor of the newly provided standard IO reader. Right. So before you have this, now we have this. So that will. So yeah, the thing is, I might not actually be able to upgrade to 0.15.1 right now because I am depending on other libraries. However, I will check and see if it's possible, because I would like to keep updated as much as possible with the latest version. Right, so newly provided standard IO reader and standard IO writer, which are non-generic and have the buffer above the V table. Hey chill guy, how's it going? In other words, the buffer is in the interface, not the implementation. Okay. So they have a buffer in the interface, so every reader and writer, I guess, has a buffer now, and then also a vtable for different implementations. This means that although reader and writer are no longer generic, they are still transparent to optimization. Wait, there are no... Oh, they're not generic. I guess they mean in a sense of like taking type arguments, I guess. Since they have a vtable, they are, you know, I would classify that as generic, but they, in this sort of the very, you know, this kind of sense, very specific sense. Okay, so they are still transparent to optimization. All the interface functions have a concrete hot path operating on the buffer and only make vtable calls when the buffer is full. Okay. I'm not sure if I quite understand everything here, but all of the interface functions have a concrete hot path operating on the buffer. Right. And only make vtable calls when the buffer is full. Okay, so basically there are interface functions that are like, I would call those like those functions are implemented in the interface itself and not in the implementation below. And then only when the buffer is full, they go through the vtable to call the underlying implementation, I guess. Okay. Well, okay. These changes are extremely breaking. I'm sorry for that, but I carefully examined the situation and acquired confidence that this is the direction that SIG needs to go. I hope you will strap in your seatbelt and I'll come along for the ride. It will be worth it. Well, again, I feel like since SIG is very early on, it feels like it's sort of allowed, I guess you could say, to have like breaking changes like this. It's not really a huge deal, and that's why you don't want to start, you know, real projects, I guess, very large projects that depend on this, because, you know, having breaking changes, either you're stuck with an old version or you're gonna have to deal with breaking changes all the time and have to update your code. Well, that's kind of what I'm dealing with, but it's not, I mean, from my point of view, it's not going to be that much to update, and it is sort of like a learning project anyway, so it's not really, I don't mind it. But if you're like a company, I wouldn't choose Zig as it is right now to, you know, start a big project or anything until it's more stable. Yeah, and then they talk a little bit about the motivation. I'm sure it's probably, you know, warranted. I'm not gonna go through everything here. I just want to see what is updated. So that, I guess, is one thing. Okay, so then we have language changes and standard library cuts. Right, so we do have some changes that might affect the project here. So target support. Okay, let's just skim through this a little bit. Supports a wide variety, a wide range of architectures and operating systems. Right, so we have a tier system, I guess, for how much they are implemented. All non-experimental language features are known to work correctly. Right. Well, okay. The compiler can generate machine code for this target without relying on LLVM. Okay, that's very good, since it's way faster. While being comparable to LLVM in terms of features, support the CI machines automatically run the module tests for this target. Okay. Right, and then you have tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. So here we have different tiers. Alright, so these are the only tier 1s. x86, 64 Linux, and Mac OS. Alright. And then a whole bunch of tier 2s. Okay. Well, great. Additional platforms, yeah. Language, okay. Let's see here. I'm gonna go through here. So, okay, this is a big one for me because I'm actually using this a lot. Using namespace. Okay, there's a thing here as well. Minor changes. Packed union fields are no longer allowed to specify an align. Okay, I'm not using packed union fields, so I don't care, I guess, for that. But packed union fields are no longer allowed to specify an align attribute matching the existing behavior with packed structs. Alright. Providing an override where alignment previously did not affect alignment of fields, and migration to these new rules take form of deleting the specifier. Okay. Using namespace removed this keyword at a distance between the expected definition of a declaration and its actual definition. Okay. Without it, discovering a declaration's definition site is incredibly simple. Find the definition of the namespace you're looking in, then find the identifier being defined within that type declaration. With using namespace, however, the programmer can be led on a wild goose chase through different types and files. Well, yeah. If you're sort of using it, if you're nesting these and using it everywhere, then I guess, yeah. I'm using it in a very specific case. I'm not using it in my structs. I'm using it as a way to sort of import everything into one file and making stuff like available from one file. It's not really a huge deal because you can just use import as well. However, it's gonna be a little bit different, but yeah, we're gonna have to like explicitly, I think, instead of using it's sort of like a wild a wildcard import, like you're importing everything from one struct. So yeah, that was and also exporting it at the same time. So that was like a way to sort of gather everything that you need in one file, and then you can just import that to have access to everything without having to, you know, import every little thing. So I really like the use of that, but we'll see if there's gonna be maybe some other way to do it. Alright, not only does this harm readability for humans, but it is also problematic for tooling. For instance, Autodoc cannot reasonably see through non-trivial use case using a namespace. Right. By eliminating this feature, all identifiers can be trivially tracked back to where they are imported by humans and machines alike. Alright. Additionally, using namespace encourages poor namespacing. When declarations are stored in a separate file, that typically means they are share something in common, which is not shared with the contents of another file. As such, it is likely a very reasonable choice to actually expose the contents of that file via a separate namespace rather than including them in a more general parent namespace. To put it shortly, namespacing is good, actually. Finally, removal of these features makes incremental compilation fundamentally simpler. Okay, so there are a bunch of very, very good reasons to remove it, and I do understand why they need to do it. And well, I'm just gonna have to find a way to, yeah, do. I guess I would have to sort of explicitly import everything I need and export it. It's not that big of a deal. Use case conditional inclusion. So what is this? Using namespace can be used to conditionally include a declaration as follows, right? Yes. If we have this, if in compile time, and then this will become this struct, otherwise this. So either we have this or we don't. But I guess this is still possible because you don't really have to do using namespace. You can have some type that is either this struct or this struct. By not having pub using namespace here, you can have like const type or const my struct or whatever is equal to, and then this expression, and you still have this sort of dynamic depending on this variable. But I guess the difference is that it doesn't export this to the current sort of struct. The solution here is pretty simple. Usually you can just include the declaration unconditionally. 6 lazy compilation means that it will not be analyzed unless referenced, so there are no problems. Okay. Wait, I don't understand. They're talking about this is being removed, and then they're talking about like examples of using it here. Occasionally, this is not a good solution as it lacks safety. Perhaps analyzing foo will always work, but will only give a meaningful result if have foo is true. And it would be a bug to use it in any other case. In such case, the declaration can be conditionally made a compile error. Pub const foo if have foo. Right. Alright, so we're declaring. So we always have foo, except if we try to access it, it becomes a compiler error. This does break feature detection with the has declaration. Right. That's true. If feature detection is needed, a better approach, less prone to typos. This is kind of ironic here. You get a typo and then less prone to typos. And bit rotting. I've never heard that phrase. Bit rotting. What does that mean? Is to conditionally initialize the declaration to some sentinel value which can be selected. Bitrot. Conditionally initialize the declaration to some sentinel value which can be detected. A good choice is often the void value. Okay, so we have a struct, have foo, have bar. If we have foo, if we don't have foo, then it's a void. Use foo if supported. If type of foo is void, return. Okay, so you're basically replacing has declaration with checking if the type is void. I mean, sure, it's I guess functionally similar, but has declaration. I mean, I'm not using has declaration in this way. For me, when I use has declaration, is basically when I have a union enum with different types. Basically using it as a sort of override functionality where you would have a common function perhaps on the union enum itself, which calls the underlying function on like the current sort of union type or tag, and then you can have based on if the tag has if the payload, the tag payload has the declaration of the function that you want to call, then we call that function. That becomes then like an override. But if it doesn't have it, then we do some, you could do whatever, like a standard implementation or do nothing or whatever. So that's how I use it. Yeah, okay, but this kind of gives you a tip on how to do the thing if you have this pattern going on, which I don't really. But okay, implementation switching. So this, well, actually no, I'm not using namespace for this either. But it's good to get some tips if you're using namespace in different ways like this. Here we have mix-ins as well. Okay, this could be actually interesting to learn about, because how would you use mix-ins without using namespace? I mean, I guess you could use like a union enum or something. But let's see here. A very common use case for using namespace in the wild was to implement mix-ins. Yeah. So you would have a mix-in, which is basically like part of a struct that you can import sort of directly into your struct to get the functionality directly. And here we have counter. So we're talking about incrementing counter, resetting the counter. We're kind of assuming that we have a count here. Okay, interesting. Yeah, right. No checking if we actually have the count here, but I mean, it will be a compiler error if you're trying to use this without having count. Okay, and you don't even have to know the type of count. It just has to support numerical like assignment like this and there. Okay, so then we pub using namespace counter mixing foo. All right, so that's to get this as a self here, right? So you can call foo dot reset counter increment counter. Yeah. All right, cool. The alternative to this is based on the key observation made above. Namespacing is good actually. The same logic can be applied to mixins. The word counter in increment counter reset counter already kind of is a namespace in spirit. It's like how we used to have standard child process, but since have renamed it to standard process child. Okay, the same idea can be applied here. What if instead foo increment counter you called foo.counter.increment? Okay, this can be achieved by using a 0-bit field and field parent pointer. Interesting. I've never used this. Here's the above example ported to use this mechanism. Okay, so you still have your mix-in. You still take your type here. We return a struct, so we have increment and reset. Well, I already like the renaming of these to not include counter, because yeah, just way easier to sort of type and see what's happening. So increment, and now we're using this instead, since we're returning a type here and we can't use using namespace anymore. Okay, so now we're saying, yeah, we have to, okay, so we have to cast. Okay, so hang on. We're getting, so this is already a pointer into this struct, right? Oh, but we need to modify this one, right? Which is in the parent, I guess. Field parent pointer. That's interesting. So counter is the name. M is our instance. Right, so you would say foo.counter.increment. And then somehow you get the parent pointer here. How do you get this? Is it because you're accessing, like while you're accessing foo.counter, it kind of knows which parent it's talking about? That's interesting. Huh. And then we align cost, you get, right, so then you get this one out. Okay. So we're casting it to foo here. Right. Okay. Interesting. And then you can modify the parent there. Huh. I mean, I can see how this could be. I mean, I'm seeing it. How could it be used right now? I'm definitely gonna keep this in my back pocket or back of my mind to sort of find where this could be used. I would like to experiment with this. I'm not using mixins that much. I'm more using like union tagged unions, but yeah, definitely something to keep in mind. This code works just like before, except the usage is foo.counter.increment rather than foo.increment counter. We have applied namespacing to our mixin using 0-bit fields. What are we talking about? 0-bit fields. Is this a 0-bit field? I guess it is, because it's just a bunch of functions, so it's a 0-bit field. That's just it. That's just, you know, saying that this doesn't have any size. Right, so it's just a container for the functions. And then the functions has this way of modifying the parent here. Okay. In fact, this mechanism is more useful because it allows you to also include fields. Yeah, so you could have, it can be not a 0-bit field as well. You could have stuff here. You could actually, you know, have the count be here as well. We could move the count field to count. Yeah. In this case, we could move the count field to counter mixin. Yeah. In this case, that actually wouldn't be a mixin at all, since that field is the only state counter mixin uses. In fact, this is a demonstration that the need for mixins is relatively rare. I mean, yeah, it's like, it's kind of weird because you're associating like the functionality to this with this. I mean, you could just as well have these functions like be out, like loose from this struct, and have them be like in its own namespace or its own struct. We don't really need to do all of this, and just put count in as a an input, really, in this case, I guess. Yeah, mixins are kind of already kind of a weird pattern. I mean, yeah. I did read about, like, a long time ago, there was a thing that popped up that was called what was that called? Like domain. It's not domain driven design, but it was like something like I don't remember, but it used mixins, and it used like it sort of broke up classes in a whole bunch of different components. And so you had different types of things. You had like mixins, you had components, you had all these different things, and they were kind of composed into these resulting classes, I guess. And yeah, it was very, I don't know, it felt exciting in a way. There was like one guy, Thomas Biskup, who is the author, who is the creator of Adam, Ancient Domains of Mystery, who talked about it, and at the time it felt like, oh my god, this is like an entirely new thing in programming, and it was very exciting. But I couldn't really grasp it once I started to look into it. I couldn't really, understand. It was only in Java. There was this library, I think it was like Q4L or something like that, or key, like QI4J. That's right, QI4J, I think it was called. But yeah, it was. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen that pattern being used anywhere, and but it was very interesting because it kind of felt like it was this entirely new take on things, and you could sort of separate concerns in an extreme way. It was extreme separate of concerns, I guess you could say. All right. Anyway, so as it kind of makes sense using factors, but in case mixing is appropriate yet requires additional state, this approach allows using mixing without needing to duplicate fields at each mixing site. Right. So it's like if you have a struct that has some things, and then you have like a mix-in that you want to share the functionality over those fields, but you don't want to create new fields in that thing, which is, I guess, the way you could do it otherwise is you could have those fields in this struct instead, in the sort of mixing struct, and then you would just have a field here that is that type instead, and then remove the fields from foo. So we sort of move the fields into that struct, or into a new struct that had that, you know, common sort of functionality. And I guess the downside is that either you have to sort of implement a getter here or something, or a getter or setter or whatever, to be able to sort of access that instead of just accessing directly. But yeah, let's see. Async await keywords removed. Also removed frame. I guess, wait, were they even there from the start? Okay, let's go back here. So these were removed. I don't think they were actually in before. Might be mistaken there. Well, I'm not actually using them anyway, so anyway, switch on okay, this could be very interesting because I'm using switches everywhere. Switch on non-exhaustive enums now allows mixing explicit tags with the underscore prong, which represent all the unnamed values. So it's okay, switching on allows mixing. Okay, so it's like, well, else already captures everything else, but then if you do this, it's like saying, well, what's the difference between this and else? Switching on non-exhaust, like if you replace this entire thing by else, isn't that the same thing? I'm confused. Switching on non-exhaust. Okay, I just skipped over that detail there. Non-exhaustive enums, right? So I'm actually not using non-exhaustive enums, but I guess that is a good thing. If I ever need to do it, I will check it out. Allow more operators on bool vectors. Allow binary, not binary, and binary, or binary XOR. Okay, cool. That's very nice. Inline assembly typed clobbers. Until now, these were stringly typed. It's kind of obvious when you think about it. Okay, we got a syscall with one argument. We have the number, which is the syscall type, I guess, and then the argument to the syscall, and then we return the result. Okay. So I actually had never seen this in Zig, where you have a straight up assembly. Okay, so you have a syscall here. Okay, so I'm wondering, this is like, it feels very magic here. Ret. It's not referenced anywhere else here, so I'm just gonna assume that it's a magic thing that means the return value equals to rex, which is usually function calls is convention that they always populate rex with the return or with the result of the function call. And this type or this thing here is okay. I'm not sure what this means. I mean, I know what usize is, but I guess it kind of denotes that ret is supposed to be set to usize. Maybe it's like a function type. I don't know. Okay, number. All right, so number is this, and arg is this. So those are mapped here. Right. So number is rex. So rex is set, I guess, to number. Okay. Yeah, which is the first argument. And then you have RDI, which is the second argument. So rex is the syscall, like which syscall are you calling? RDI is the first argument there. So okay, and then we have RC, X, and R11. True, true. I wonder what that means. Huh. Is it like appending? Is it like because arg1 is so large? No. It's just a usize, so that should be like 64 on a 64-bit system. Huh. What does this mean? That they shouldn't be... No, wait, you can't... Yeah, I don't know. To auto upgrade... What does it say? Typed clobbers. Until now, these were stringly typed. It's kind of obvious when you think about it. R6 true, R11 true. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what this means. I'm probably never gonna, you know, do this. I mean, you never say never, but I did dabble a little bit in assembler, or assembly. But it just feels like if you're gonna do this, it's probably just, you know, if you need to do some super optimized things, but yeah. To auto upgrade, run sig format. Okay, cool. Allow pointer cast single item pointer to slice. Essentially an extension of 0.14.0 change, which allow pointer cast to change the length of a slice. You can now also cast from a single pointer to any slice. Right. New rules for arithmetic on undefined. Begins to standardize the rules around how undefined behaves in different contexts. In particular, it now behaves how it behaves as an operand to arithmetic operators. In summary, only operators which can never trigger illegal behavior permit undefined as an operand. Any other operator will trigger illegal behavior or a compiler if evaluated at comp time if any operand is undefined. Okay. Generally, it's always best to practice. It was always best practice to avoid any operation on undefined. Of course, if you do that, this language change and any that follow are unlikely to affect you. Yeah, I'm not. As far as I'm aware, I'm not doing that. If you're affected by this language change, you must see a compiler error. Use of undefined. Okay, yeah. Great. I wonder if it can detect, like, if it knows it's undefined. Like, if you have a var, set it to undefined, and then you set it over here and then do this. If it can detect that. But okay. Error on lossy conversion from int to float. This compiler has always been intended, but it's gone unimplemented until now. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see what will happen with that. Okay, so standard library. Uncategorized changes. Copy file no longer can fail with out of memory. Okay. Atomic file. Okay, atomic file. I'm just gonna try to find those things that are actually affecting my project. File removed. Write file options, write file all unseekable in favor of file writer. Okay, that should be fine. Send file, I'm not using send file. So here's the writer gate. So standard IO I'm using, I think, very sparingly. And so this could be a thing where you have to sort of adjust here. So old standard IO doesn't exist anymore. So instead you have standard IO with a capital I and reader and writer, which are the new sort of generic reader and writers. All right, so we'll see if that will be an issue. And here's the motivation for that. If you have an old stream and you need a new one, you can use adapt to new API. What? Old writer. Wait, is this how it works now? This feels weird. Old writer. Like, so are the old types still available? Okay, so they are deprecated, so they are still available, I guess. Okay. Right, and so you have the new API. Ring buffers. These ring buffers have a bunch of the handy new APIs that are more convenient, perform better, and are not generic. For instance, look at how reading until a delimiter works now. Take delimiter exclusive. So, right. It's sort of like an iterator, except it's you call this, and the reader is kind of like the iterator. This is the kind of action you're taking. You get the result out. Okay, so you're reading each line here, right? And you exclude the end line. Okay, and then you get a bunch of different things. All right, cool. So you can also feature some unique concepts compared with other languages' streams implementations. The concept of discarding when reading allows efficiently ignoring data. For instance, a decompression stream, when asked to discard a large amount of data, can skip decompression of entire frames. Yeah, so you can skip ahead, basically, I'm guessing. Okay. The concept of splatting when writing. This allows a logical memset operation to pass through I/O pipelines without actually doing any memory copying, turning an OM times N operation into OM operation, where the M is number of streams in the pipeline, N is number of repeated bytes. Okay. In some cases, it can be even more efficient, such as when splatting a zero value that ends up being written to a file. This can be lowered as a seek forward. Okay, so more, performance. Great. Sending a file or writing. This allows an I/O pipeline to do a direct F file. Okay. So yeah, so if the operating system supports copying, like you just pass the file descriptors, and you don't have to actually copy anything yourself. Okay, the stream user provides the buffer, but the stream implementation decides the minimum buffer size. This effectively removes state from the stream implementation to use buffer. Okay, cool. All right, and then we have file reader and file writer as well. Yeah, so I am actually using file reader and writer a little bit, so but I guess the old thing is still available, so maybe we can upgrade without having to fix this right now. Upgrading standard IO gets standard out writer print. Please use buffering and don't forget to flush. Buffer and then a writer. So you have to provide a buffer now. I see. And okay, so okay, that's the v table, I guess. And then you can call. To me, this just feels like extra steps, to be honest. Because before, I mean, you could say, wait, so you're accessing fs file standard out. Wait, is this standard? This is standard out. But before you access this through standard IO, get standard out, I think. Yeah. And then you have to flush at the end. I mean, yeah, it makes sense because you have to do these things anyway. I guess they were kind of hidden before. Yeah, okay. Rework standard compress flate. Okay, I don't care about this. Counting writer. Never heard of that. Buffered writer deleted. Okay. Required to call format methods. Turn on f reference trace to help you find all the format string breakage. Okay, here's a format thing. Format ID example. Format. I've never seen this. Zig format ID. This will cause a compiler error. Ambiguous format string, specify f to call format method or any to skip it. Okay, this might be a huge thing because I'm using these everywhere. So do you have to say f now? Instead, do you have to have something in there now? Required to call format methods. Or is it just if you pass some kind of formatter like this? Okay, I guess we'll see. Okay, motivation eliminating these two foot guns. Introducing format method structs cause a bug. If there was formatting code somewhere that prints with this and then starts rendering differently. Okay, removing a format method to a struct caused a bug if there was formatting code somewhere that prints with this and now changed without notice. Okay. Introducing a format method would cause compilers all sites. In the future, it will have no effect. What? Similarly, eliminating a format method will not change any sites that use this. Okay. Using f always tries to call a format method, causing a compiler error if none exists. Okay. So this might be something I have to then change in a bunch of places. We'll see. Format methods no longer have format strings or options. Right, so this is how it was before. We have a string that we get in to kind of, that we can sort of check to see, okay, do you want to format, how do you want to format, like, let's say you have a bunch of numbers, and I guess you would get this to say, okay, how would you want to format those numbers? And then we have options under writer. Okay, so we don't get those anymore. The deleted format is now for numbers only. Any state that you got from this format string, there are 3 suggested alternatives, different format methods. That can be called with F. Okay, whatever. Formatted printing no longer deals with Unicode. Okay. Alignment combined with Unicode compliance. This is now ASCII bytes only. Previous implementation was not fully Unicode aware. If you want to align Unicode strings, you need full Unicode support, which our standard library does not provide. Okay. I don't think this will be an issue. Okay. New formatting printing specifiers T, shorthand for tag name. Oh, that is really nice. And error name. Okay. I'm using this quite a lot. D and other integer printing can be used with custom types which calls format number method. Okay. B64 as standard base 64. Okay. Degenerify linked lists. Okay, I'm not using linked lists, so I don't care. Progress bar escape codes. Standard progress. What is standard progress? Turns out there are escape codes for sending progress status to the terminal. Okay. Interesting. HTTP client to server. Okay, I'm not gonna read this. It will be interesting at some point. I'm probably gonna try and make some sort of server again. I did it some time ago, but I mean, if we're gonna make like a game server or something, could be cool as well. TLS client array list make unmanaged. Wait, no longer depends on standard net. Okay, fine. Yeah, the whole I would say the whole HTTP stuff servers were kind of very confusing, like architecturally how it was sort of spread out between several different places, and it was kind of hard to understand, like, okay, what do I actually need to do in order to create a server using the sort of built-in stuff. So yeah, hopefully that gets better. Array list make unmanaged the default. Yes, so I did know about this, and I'm using unmanaged basically everywhere. However, these will both eventually be removed entirely, right? So we're only gonna have array list, I think, which is gonna be the unmanaged version. Why does it say managed here? This is how it used to be, right? And it's going to be unmanaged. Yeah. Well, there are downsides. Worse method functions into, yes. You have to pass allocator to everything now, basically. Inability to statically initialize. I think for me, like unmanaged versions, you can wait. What pattern does having an allocator field allow that not having one doesn't? Avoiding accidentally using the wrong allocator? Yes. Convenience when you need to pass an allocator also? Yes. But there are downsides. But this one is weird. Statically initialize. So for the unmanaged version, you can just say .empty now. You don't have to pass anything down to it. So you can just initialize. I'm not sure what they mean here, but I feel it's way easier to initialize unmanaged stuff because you don't have to pass down an allocator. Extra memory storage costs, particularly for nested containers. Oh, do they mean that this is the downsides for having an allocator? Yeah, okay. But the worst method function signatures in the I don't know. I don't know what they're talking about. I just know that now unmanaged is the version to go. That's the version we're gonna use, which we already are using. So, ring buffers. There are too many ring buffer implementations in the standard library. Okay. Linear FIFO, ring buffer, circular buffer. Oh. What is this? Libstand compress fleet circle buffer. Okay. So they kind of merged them into one, I guess. This is removed due to being poorly designed. Okay, I'm not using this, but it's nice to know that it's improved. Removal of bounded array. So I'm actually using bounded array. So it's interesting here if they would propose some sort of solution for this. I see that they are doing something down here. So this data structure was popular due to being trivially comparable. However, such convenience comes at a cost. To upgrade, categorize code based on where the limit comes from. Is it an arbitrary limit for which the boundary array usage is making a reasonable guess at the upper bound or deciding resource limits? Don't guess. Don't make that choice for the calling code. Accept a buffer as a slice. Accept a buffer as a slice as an input or use dynamic allocation. Example of markdown coding. Okay. Is it type safety around a stack buffer? Just use array list unmanaged is fine. It's actually really convenient that this same data structure works here. Right, so you can actually say, yeah, you can say init buffer, which will just use this buffer as it kind of takes over. I guess it sort of takes over this, but init buffer. This is kind of weird because append slice bounded. Like then you would you would have to know that you're not supposed to sort of extend it and stuff, right? And you're not supposed to deinitialize either. So you can't just pass this array list around, I guess. Okay, but there, I mean, I guess, yeah, it is. It's also kind of weird. This is one line. This is 3 lines. It's like we're going from ease, convenience to. I don't really like, you know, doing this, but yeah. Maybe what will end up happening is everyone's gonna implement this. I don't know. We'll see. Is it an ordered set with a well-defined maximum capacity, or you know, each time you're trying to find a way to sort of solve the problem? Is it an ordered set with a well-defined maximum capacity? Quite rare, just free code it. Ordered set with a well-defined maximum capacity. That's very specific. Is it being used as a growable array that can be copied? What? This wastes time copying undefined memory all over the place and causes unnecessary generic code bloat. If you're using it as a global array, then we just use an array list that can be copied. Oh, so it's not copied, I guess. I mean, you can duplicate an array list, though. Deletions and deprecations. Yeah, so we have a whole bunch of stuff here. Oh, so we have all these different formats are now. So hex, we got hex, we've got some other stuff here. Duration. Interesting. Okay. Standard format is standard IO writer print. Interesting. Yeah, generic reader, generic writer, any reader, so they are all. I always found this weird. Like you have any reader, any writer, and then generic. Hang on. All right, sorry about that. Yeah, okay, so it makes sense. This whole thing. Seekable stream, not sure. I don't think I'm using that. Bit reader, no. Bitwriter, limited reader, buffered reader, FIFO, no. Alright, build system, okay. Let's see what's happening here. Sig build, print new line before build summary, okay. Remove deprecated implicit root module. Sig 0.14.0, introduce the root module field to build executable options and friends, deprecating the old fields which define the root module like root source file. Sig 0.15 removes the deprecated fields. If you did not migrate in the previous release cycle, you will encounter compiler errors such as this one. Okay. No field name this. Okay. Please see this. Right. And to upgrade, you would have to do something here. Right. Okay, I don't care about this. Web interface and time report. Included experimental web interface for the working process built in Fuzzer. Okay, I don't care about this. Compiler. Sig 0.15 enables Sig's self-hosted x86-64 code generation backend by default in debug mode. Okay. More specifically, this backend is now the default when targeting x86-64 in debug mode, except on NetBSD, OpenBSD, and Windows, which is what I'm using, where the LLVM backend is still the default due to linker deficiencies. Okay, maybe I'll switch to Linux in that case. When this backend is selected, you will begin to reap the benefits of the investments the Zig project has made over the past few years. Completion time is significantly improved around a 5 times decrease compared to LLVM in most cases. This is only the beginning. The self-hosted x86-64 backend has been built to support incremental compilation, which will result in another extreme speedup when it is stable enough to be enabled by default. Fast compilation is a key goal of the Zig project and one we have been quietly making progress on for years. This release sees those efforts starting to come to fruition. So that's really nice. It's a bit weird, sad that it doesn't work for Windows, but I think I can just change my setup to work for Linux. It's just I'm using it on Windows because I get like a little bit higher frame rate. So that's what, but maybe it's better to actually do it on Linux because then you get then I have to like optimize more, I guess. Using the self-hosted x86 backend also means you are not subject to the effects of the upstream LLVM bugs, which we are currently tracking over 60. Okay. In fact, the self-hosted x86 backend already passes a larger subset of our behavior test suite than the LLVM backend does. In other words, this backend provides a more complete and correct implementation of the Zig language. Interesting that they have like tests that are not passing. I guess like okay. Of course, the self-hosted x86 backend does currently have some deficiencies and bugs of its own. If you're affected by any of these issues, you can use LLVM backend for debug builds by passing flvm on the command line or by setting use LLVM true when creating a builds that compile. The self-hosted x86 backend is also currently known to emit slower machine code than the LLVM backend. Really? It's slower? So the compile time is faster, way faster, but some of the code is slower. Some of the like resulting compile code. So if you want to have like the super fast, if you want to have like release fast version, you probably want to use LLVM in that case. But in most cases, the self-hosted backend is now a better choice for development. Right, so that's why it's enabled for debug only. For instance, the SIG-Core team have been building the compiler almost exclusively with a self-hosted x86 backend instead of LLVM for quite a while. This has been a serious improvement to our workflows and the SIG compiler building in just a few seconds rather than 1 to 2 minutes. Whoa! Okay, that is a huge improvement. Man, 1 to 2 minutes. You can now, I mean, I've heard of horror stories longer than that, of course, but you have a kind of a different workflow, and yeah, I really need like fast compile times. You can now expect to see similar improvements to your own development experience. Okay, that will be really interesting to check out. Okay, I don't care about this. So incremental compilation, I'm probably not gonna use this because I don't want to just deal with probably a whole bunch of issues that's gonna be there. It's enough to just increase the thing. I'm gonna sort of wait until they enable it by default. Threaded code gen. Okay, so faster code gen, I guess. Let me just skim through this. Designed to be parallelized. The compiler. Compile. Okay. Allow configuring UBSAN mode at the module level. Okay. Compile test to object file. Zig init. New template for creating projects. Okay. The old template included code for generating static library of a SIG module, which caused some newcomers to mistakenly think that this was a preferred way of creating a reusable SIG code. The new template offers boilerplate for creating a SIG module and an executable. This should cover most use cases. And it also shows how to split logic between a reusable module and the application. Users that only intend to create one kind of artifact can delete extra code, although the template should be considered a gentle reminder of creating tooling for your libraries, providing convenient access to reusable logic in your executables. Yes. You can now pass minimal or M to SIG-init to create a minimalistic template. Running the command will generate a build.sig.some file, and if not already present, a build.sig file with just a stub of the build function. Huh. This option is intended for those who are familiar with SIG's build system who mainly want a convenient way of generating a zone file with the correct fingerprint. Okay. Linker, bug fixes, fuzzer, bug fixes, toolchain, LVM20, okay. Hang on. Okay, sorry about that. Hopefully no more interruptions there. Okay. Roadmap. iOS and interface linker. Okay. What about async AI or I mean, oh yeah, async. Two major things of 0.16 release. Like I mean, the development actually was pretty fast. Like 0.14 to 0.15 was very quick. So we'll see how long it takes for this. Async IO, iOS and interface. Okay, so I guess next version is gonna be the async version, right? Moving forward, C will rearrange all of its file system, networking, timer, synchronization, pretty much everything that can block into a new standard I/O interface. All code that performs I/O will need access to an I/O instance, similar to how all code that allocates memory needs an access to an allocator instance. Wow. Okay. That reminds me of Haskell. With the I/O monad. Okay, cool. This will make it possible to write optimal reusable packages that are agnostic to the application's concurrency model, express asynchrony, catch more kinds of bugs, and make event loops first-class citizens in the SIG ecosystem. Event loops. First class. Okay, interesting. All right. Great. Okay. So let's see if we can actually upgrade to 0.15. I also would like to show a thing I've been working on here. So for the few that are watching, I'm gonna send it to a few friends to test it out as well. But I actually did a thing here. Let's see if I can get it working here. Can I change it? No, that's not correct. Where is it? This one. All right, so wait, why is it? Yeah, I should be able to just click here. Is it online? That's the question. All right, might actually not be enabled. Wait a minute, 1 second here. Let's do it here instead. Okay. Where is it? Wait, how? No, that's not the correct one. Why is it not showing up here? Okay, let me pull this into another window. Maybe it will update. No? Oh, here we go. There we go. Right, so this is actually in the browser. So I saw that there was a way to compile the like the Zig, like the Raylib Zig project into WebAssembly. So I actually made this sort of demo site here that you can actually go to, and you can test the demo yourself. So this, I mean, yeah, you can you can only there's a limitation to it though. The gamepad doesn't work because of, I don't know, some bug somewhere. It does seem to see that a gamepad is like connecting to the thing, but it's not. It doesn't work. So you have to use the keyboard. But yeah, every action is mapped, so you can go in here and try it out if you want. And I did make some changes as well to the game. You can see there's no backgrounds anymore because I did some changes to the sort of structure of the levels. So I'm not gonna have like those background images anymore, I don't think. I'm instead gonna sort of paint the backgrounds or build the backgrounds in the editor instead. But yeah, everything works here, like the sound, the data is persistent through, if you're, as long as you're not like refreshing the page. So even like I fixed also the crash when you die, so you don't, when you die it sort of resets you down, resets you to the village, but you keep all the progress that you made basically. So oh yeah, how did you wait? Oh, maybe this is one of the things that you can't do, I think, is switch menus. Yeah, you can. I don't think you can switch menus in here. The triggers. Yeah, I'm not using the. Okay, this is interesting. Last time, this place was lagging quite a bit. Now it doesn't lag, but it is very not optimized. So I'm not sure why it lagged so much before. Right now it seems to work fine. But it is, you know, it is... oops. Let's see. Yeah. Just going to 75, and it sort of depends on your computer and stuff. But yeah, you can go to this place to play the game if you want. And feel free to tell me how it works for you. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna move this. All right. Let's start checking out. Let's see, where am I here? Here. Okay. I guess we can start with the with this project, which is the game engine. So I wonder if there is like an easy way to upgrade, or if you just have to. So what I'm using is I'm using ZVM, and so okay, there's an upgrade, I guess, for this. Great, that was easy. Alright, so let's just install 0.15.1. Should be pretty quick. Alright, and let's switch to that. Great. Okay, I'm gonna check here if the LSP matches here. Language server, right, the CLS. So the CLS is always a pain point here. Is that included here? Install ZLS. I guess ZLS is not. Wait, if we use this, we have CLS, but not for 15.1. Okay, that is an issue. Maybe I'll wait for that. Yeah, ZLS 0.15 is not done. Is there a tag for it though? No, or a branch maybe. Or okay, you know what? Since CLS does not seem to exist yet, I won't actually upgrade right now. And I'm not sure how to actually, or if I need to maybe install it. Okay, let me check here. Where's my CLS? Alright, it's CVM. Okay. So if I do use this, we don't have it anymore. Okay. So let's go out. Let's go to let's go here. Do we have anything like CLS? See. No. Okay, so we will do. Wait, what is this? Okay, I'll try this. Zig tools, ZLS. Okay, so we can build it. Optimize, release, save. Wait. Okay, yeah. So we'll just do that. Zig version does not meet minimum build requirements. Zig version 0.15.0 is required or greater. So I mean, I have 0.15.1. Yeah, this doesn't exist. Also, this is like the master. Can I like... Where's the releases? So someone says here that, alright, it's using master. So how would you get around this error message then? Minimum build. Okay, this is a fairly new issue, so okay, I'm just gonna skip this thing. So what I will do is I will just use 0.14.1 for now, and we will upgrade sometime in the future. I will do something else instead. Okay, well, what I can do is show a little bit of the changes that I've made to the game editor. So what I did in order to be able to actually host this in a WebAssembly compiled project, well, it is the same project. What I did was I added some new document types. So basically everything that is needed for the game to run is now packaged in the project. Before, I sort of hard-coded in, loaded in some sort of font file and the sounds. So they are now actually assets here as well. So I've imported everything here that is needed. Also some stuff that was outliers, like the health texture was also like sort of hard-coded. So now everything is in the project. And all the sounds, I added a sound assets and also fonts as well. So now everything is packaged here, and it automatically grabs everything from here and it sort of compiles it into a WebAssembly project automatically. So if you add more things here, it will automatically include that in the WebAssembly project. Well, for my game project. So that I did, and I did a whole bunch of changes to this build system here as well. So if you want to go ahead and make a web based, or if you want to compile to WebAssembly and run your Zig project in WebAssembly, specifically with like Raylib, well, I know how to do that now. But it was not easy. I think I spent like 3 days. Last 3 days I've been spent on actually getting this up and running. And yeah, so it's been quite a lot to get this working, but it was very interesting, and it also allows to sort of share a demo without having people to have to download an executable. Instead, they can just go to this website and play it directly, which is really cool. So basically, I could show how I'm doing it. So basically, you build the thing with, let me show here. Here's the build script. I'm running it on Windows here, but this is basically what you do. So you build Zig build, and then you have to say the target like this, wasm32m scripten. So this will make it so that the Zig build system knows that the target is this WebAssembly here. And then you also provide a sysroot parameter, which will then be available in the build system. And then you have to install the mscripten SDK, and then you point to wherever that is in your file system. And you also say /upstream/mscripten. So that is where the sysroot is. Okay, so once you've done that, then in your build file, you can now see that, okay, are we compiling to WASM? We can check with this variable here, or this function call to is WASM here on result target result CPU arch is WASM. So now you know if you've been, because you can have different targets. You can have to Windows, Linux, WebAssembly. So now you know that this is for the WebAssembly, because then we'll need to change some stuff. So basically all of these things that are sort of just standard like Zig libraries, I can just create as usual. However, for the Raylib, it's a bit different. So this one, I'm not sure what this is, but apparently this is used. This is, you know, apparently necessary if you need to compile to WASM, you need to provide this. And importantly also, you need to not provide it in this. If I try to say true here in this, but then I get a whole bunch of other issues. So you have to have like an if this, then you get this, otherwise you get this, okay? Never mind all this uncommented or commented out stuff. Then we still get the Raylib module like this and Raylib artifact, so that's not a difference from the standard setup. Here is the normal sort of setup here, so that's not really important or interesting. But here is the WASM setup. So Raylib Zig. So this is the Raylib Zig /Raylib Zig from GitHub, which is sort of automatically translated, or not translated. It's automatically bindings, the bindings to Raylib, which are automatically created using some sort of generator. So yeah, and it includes this EMCC module, which you can then use for a bunch of different things. So I've basically went into their project and basically copied what they did, but then also did a whole bunch of modifications based on issues that popped up and stuff. So yeah, so this basically creates a library here that will be used for mscripten compilation. So this is going to be the Zig sort of, I think, yeah, library, which is going to be then imported into or linked with mscripten, which is like the WebAssembly compiler thing from C to WebAssembly. Yeah, and then yeah, so here we import Raylib, we add all our normal modules that we have from before as well. Here I have a couple of different steps that I needed to do because of my project. So this part generates it looks into my sort of project index file, because that has all of my files that I need, like all my assets and resource files that I need for the game to run. So I made a specialized tool to open the index file based on which project you want to look at, and then it generates files. It also remaps some of the paths because the files are going to be in different places, and so at the end it's going to be a different place because the because of how sort of the SIG build system works, you have these steps that can depend on each other, and you can also generate file arguments like this. Like if you have an output directory argument here, that is actually gonna be a directory in the future, which is going to be generated by SIG, which is going to be included in other, which can be included in other sort of build steps, but it's not known which directory it is now. It's a lazy path, so it will be populated later when we know. But it's also based on sort of the steps before. SIG build system also has this hierarchy of dependencies, and so if one dependency is changed, then it's going to trigger, a change in all of its dependencies. So yeah, so basically if you change the source file, that's going to trigger a compilation of that source file, which then might be in a chain of steps, and the whole chain will rebuild. So yeah, that's pretty cool actually. And so we'll make this project here. So you get these sort of directories and file paths that are not fully realized, but they will be in this sort of SIG cache folder that will be. But anyway, so this is a tool here, asset index. We're basically creating a executable here, and then we're adding a run artifact, which is basically we're running this executable, and then we're creating a step that this is the run artifact, I guess, and so you can add arguments to it, and then when things depend on this, it will call this, and it will produce a result which is then cached. Okay, and so what this is doing is it's looking, as I said, it's looking into the project asset index, and it just copies all the files needed for the project to run. This tool is for generating a pre.js file, which is then going to be used by the mscripten system to make some changes so that we set up the main call correctly. And basically what all it's doing right now is basically just setting so that the arguments into main is correct, which is sort of saying, okay, which project directory are we working with, the assets root directory, and which entry scene do you want to have. All right, and then down here we link the Raylib artifact. We call this one link with mscript, and this is also from Raylib Zig, the Raylib Zig bindings library. And so this we call create a link step, which is the last step that we take to build the actual WebAssembly thing. Here I'm replacing one of the arguments that is O3. This is basically a full-on optimization with a sort of debug optimization, no optimization basically, to make the compilation go faster, because I noticed that it was very, very slow. So ideally you would not want to have O3 when you want to just test and debug. You would want to have O0, but O3 is very good for release fast mode. But and you can set a switch here or an if If you have release fast mode, then we go with O3. Otherwise, we go with O0. So, but right now I'm only replacing O3 with O0 here. All right, and then we have a whole bunch of different arguments that we have to add. And so all of these I had to add that was not in the example. And I had some huge issues with the memory stuff. So basically, JavaScript doesn't have like alloc and stuff like that. So basically, I think mscripten sort of has this. They have different like implementations of malloc and free, and so based on the implementation that you're gonna use, you have to specify here, like, okay, malloc is equal to so mscript and malloc here. So this is like a general purpose malloc thing, so you can use that. So now we know. So now we can use that. So because remember that you're translating C to JavaScript basically, or WebAssembly, but it's operating in sort of the JavaScript landscape, I guess, virtual machine, sort of. So there is really no alloc or malloc function or free function. It's all sort of implemented by mscript, and you can also specify other things like allow memory growth, for example. So let's say you're not sure how much memory you need, then, or if you want to sort of have a dynamic footprint, then you can allow memory growth to be 1. So you start out at the lowest size, and then you can increase up to, I think it's 2 gigabytes by default. Yeah, and I had huge issues with this. I had to copy an allocator for Zig from another package, which was called Zemscripten, and then it started to work better with the allocation. So it's like a Frankenstein of different like examples and libraries and stuff. So yeah, it was really a mess to get this working, but I finally got it to work. All right, we set the stack size here. I need to increase that a little bit. So now I think it's like, what is it, 64 megabytes. And then I also had to, this one was required. This one was nice for debugging into the WASM like function pointers to see which function is causing an issue. This one was just, it says, you have to export this. Okay, so I did it and then it worked. Source maps doesn't work like out of the box. I enabled this, but and then I got a little bit better error messages, but you still can't go into sort of the actual line of code. The file doesn't load because you have to sort of map the file system a little bit differently. So yeah, but it does give better error messages and not just a random WASM line of code. The index file. So if you want to provide your own index file, which I'm doing here, you can do it like this, because this will make it so that if you have this write file thing, because the issue is if you just pass index HTML here, then the build system doesn't know if it changed or not, because it's just a string into this argument here. So you have to do this, or this is one way, I guess, to do it. I'm not sure if there's another way, but you have to do this to make sure that the build system actually looks at index.html and sees that, okay, it has changed. So then we have to rebuild this, and then we have to rebuild link as well, because the index file changed here. So that is the whole thing here. It's basically just a way to say, oh, hey, I need index.html, and I need you to also change when this changes. Okay, and you provide shell file and then the index.html. So then you can get your custom index.html file as well. and then mrun embed file. So these ones are ones that are what is actually in the example. Okay, not pre.js, but these ones. Yeah. These ones. Embed file is basically, it includes all the files that are in this directory. It will include that in like a virtual file system that is sort of encased into the WASM file. So basically all the files are included into the WebAssembly file, and then you can just you can just use the normal file operations on those files, except I'm not sure if you can write to those files, but you can read. So what I did is I made a flag that was for the save system, which was save and load system, which was that if we're actually gonna access the file system or not. So I disabled the file system for WASM, so it doesn't actually read and write files, but it does it does persist throughout a session, the save file. Okay, so yeah, and then the pre.js thing, and then you have to depend on the steps and stuff. Alright, yeah, so there was a lot of stuff that I needed to work out in order to make this actually work. And in the end, it's like, does it work or not? Because there was I ran into some other issues when moving, like cloning this onto the target computer. I mean, what I could have done is make a deployment artifact and then just upload that to the server instead of doing whatever I did here, because what I did was I basically cloned down the repo into the target computer, to the server, and then I built the thing there. And yeah, I don't think that is a very good it's not a very good what's it called, it's not a very good workflow, because what I ended up having to do was like download my entire like assets and everything down to that file, instead of just basically copying the final result. I had to sort of compile the whole thing on the target computer. So that was a lesson learned, that was a bad idea, because I had to do a whole bunch of more steps that was not really needed. So instead of doing that, I should instead just basically just zip this file, upload it maybe somewhere, download it on the thing, and be happy there. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, so a whole bunch of things, but it's really cool that it actually it works playing on the site there. Well, I get some comments that it's not working, so it works for me. Let's see, is it down? I'm gonna try it again here. Did I remove the thing? Yes. Oh, I got bad gateway. Okay. Man, I don't understand why I get this. Invalid response from an upstream server. Oh, maybe the program disappeared. Oops. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening. It's like after some time, it just stops working. I will go in there, run it. Oops, this was wrong. So maybe it's when this like SSH session is removed, the thing also is removed. Okay, maybe I should probably just start it with my other access point. Let's see. Yeah, I will actually do that. So I'll go in here and I will run start. There we go. All right, let's see if it's up now. No, not that one. This one, yes. There we go. Okay, now it seems to work. All right, cool. Okay, so there was an exception. Let me see if this actually like reset the thing. If I can join again. Yes, I can. Yeah. All right. So you're able to connect now. It should work. Even if I remove this, it should still work. Yes. Okay, cool. All right, so let's continue here. Right, yeah, so that, yeah, a whole bunch of stuff basically to make this work. And in the end, you're left with zig out, HTML out. So you're left with these files here. So basically just have HTML. You have index.js, which is generated by mscripten. Index.wasm is also generated by mscripten, and you know, all the compilation steps that we're doing in the zig build file. And so yeah, and then to run this, you have to have mscripten SDK, and you basically say mrun, and then you specify your thing there, and then you basically start your web project here in Zig. So really cool. All right. Okay. Yeah, and I totally forgot what I was doing before this. Let me check if the normal start actually works still. It has been a whole bunch of back and forth. All right, yeah, that seems to work. And you can see the FPS is a bit higher as well. Yeah, I need to implement. Oh, okay. You can't cancel out of these. You can cancel out of the cast log, but not these menus here. All right. I guess that is something we can fix. So switch in game manager. This is also something here. Switch, yeah. This one is mapped to left trigger 1, which we don't have a mapping for in keyboard, so I'm not sure which we will map this to. Maybe Q and E, for left and right. So this would be Q. And for right, oh, we have right shift. Okay, let's do Q and E for those. So now we should be able to at least move with the keyboard in the menu to different places. Yes, okay, cool. And then let's see what else. Yeah, these ones, basically all of them need to have the same kind of thing. What? Inventory, yeah. So the way we're doing it for the quest log is we're using this sort of handles list input, which handles the cancel thing automatically here. So we basically can look at that. However, I mean, I guess we could sort of do the same thing. I guess we could actually use this list input as well, because yeah, it's just that the amount of items is gonna be 0. So we'll do that. Cancel true, accepted. So let's just not do anything. And item selected. Yeah. This one will say 0. I'm pretty sure that's just a U size there. Yeah. Or null, I guess. And the length is 0. There we go. I mean, technically we could say that the length is this and that you can move around. However, it's not going to be very good because it's a grid and this is based on a list. So if you press down, it's going to go to the right and then wrap around. So that's not really a good fit there. But that should be actually pretty good. As a start. So let's do the same thing there. So this would enable us to cancel out, I think, in the same way. But we need to implement like a grid input and descriptions for the items and also the UI for that. Okay, so now we can cancel out of those as well. Great. It would be nice now also up here to add sort of a rolling, like a, how is that, like a scrolling list of menu items. So basically to the left we have nothing now, but to the right we have usable items and then quests. So it would be cool if we could show that over here, so that you can sort of see which one is which one you're currently on, and also which one you can navigate to. Maybe we can just start with the one that is, I mean, it's kind of sort of polishing. I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas there. But it is kind of like a low-hanging fruit, I guess. And it kind of shows also what you can do. We don't have like menu, or what I'm saying, we don't have like button icons to show, okay, this button icon, you're supposed to press this to go there. I guess it's not really that important. Not right now. Okay, anyway, so what did I think about. Alright, it was kind of nice to, you know, do the whole WebAssembly thing, and now I'm kind of like, okay, what was I doing before that? I don't actually remember. What do we have here? I mean, we do have a bunch of stuff that we need to do, of course. Let's see what we actually have like for systems. I mean, I guess the boss is kind of almost done. We just need to work out some the polish and like, yeah. But that's gonna be later, I guess. Like what I want to do is basically I want to also, yeah, I want to implement some more combat techniques and abilities and ways to activate them. And I don't know about magic. It's like, it feels like magic should be a part of it because there's already sort of like a spell, which is the double jump, but it is sort of in the lore. It's explained by using magic to do it. So it would make sense to be able to do other stuff as well, but it's also very sparingly because it's like supposed to be very difficult and you can only do like very small random stuff with it. So it's much more with, I think, with the combat abilities that you're gonna do stuff and the sort of magical artifacts that you're gonna find. Well, we only have one, and that's probably the way it's gonna be. That you have one that you're gonna sort of upgrade, I think. Okay, this is actually fixed. Yeah, and then we have the ever looming thing about the camera. I think camera will have us determine the maximum, or determine the amount of tiles, determine how am I gonna say this? So what I'm gonna determine is determine how many tiles should fit in one screen. So basically, because of how I want the camera to work, it's not gonna go past tiles or the walls, the boundary. So basically, anytime you're no, wait. Okay, let me just show a place where the problem happens. So in here, you can see here. Okay. Oh, it crashed. Well, anyway, you can see here that this is sort of like a T shape, and you go start here. I wonder why it crashed actually. Could not load. Oh. What the hell? Wait, let's remove these. Is that the issue, or is it something else? I guess we'll find out. I mean, you can surround it. It's not going to be a difference, I don't think. Wait, we're already there. Okay, there was a difference. Interesting. Okay, but anyway, you can see here the camera is now bounded by the bottom boundary of the tile map. This is the bottom of the tile map here. This is the left of the tile map. So even my player's over here, normally the camera wants to center on the player. Now it's bounded by this here. So we go over here. Now the issue becomes apparent when we jump up here, because this is kind of like a thin corridor. So it's like, where is the boundary for the camera? Also, now without a background, it's hard to see what's happening here. Well, it's also because of the tiles here. So the boundary, where should the boundary of the camera be here? Because it's supposed to be basically here. So, but the left side is way off over here, the right side is way off here. So where should the camera be? Should it be just pointing into the center? When it can't really fit into this boundary, should it be in the center? So things like that. Or either that, or we make sure that we always have a wide enough space for the camera to exist in. And that is why I want to determine, okay, how many tiles do I want to fit into one screen, basically. Because then it also doesn't matter which scale the user wants the window to be, because we can always show the correct amount of tiles as well. Unless the aspect ratio changes, because then it's going to be a whole other issue there. But Whoops. Okay, but now if you die, okay, you reset at the scene that you sort of started at. So because I started at this scene, you actually reset here now. But of course that's not gonna be, that's not, you know, it's gonna be, when in the actual game it's gonna be like the same. Yeah, this is gonna be predetermined or based on where you saved or something. I'm not sure actually. I mean, it's probably gonna be like you restart at the save point where you last saved. Alright, see if we can defeat the boss. Oops. Oh. All right. See, does the save work now? Yeah. All right. So yeah. But it was also nice to get, you know, all the things in here like sound and fonts and get all that streamlined into the same sort of pattern as well. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's right. This one is actually in here, but it's not sort of implemented. Yeah, that could be. We could actually use. We could do that. We can implement sort of getting an upgrade like that. So if we go to player, now we don't have like state for that. So we have these balls and stuff. Has double jump. Yeah, here's like upgrades, but I want a separate struct for that. So I'm just gonna call this like player. Well, let's just make a new thing here. Player upgrades. Double jump, charge attack, has focus lens. Alright. And yeah, that's basically what that's gonna be. Upgrades. Then we need to go to our save file and we need to add upgrades here. All right. And we need to, well, that's our primitives. Yeah, so now we should get a compiler somewhere. No? Primitives. Here we go. This should be an error here. Oh no, because we are we have a default value for it, so it's not. There we go. Okay. Yeah, and the primitives are already automatically saved and restored. Except it's not. So here we have to also say upgrades equals that. I don't know, I'm keeping the same order as I have it in here. Okay. Okay, so now upgrades should be stored and restored, and we can also look for has double jump. So now we need to say upgrades has double jump and has charge tag. Focus. Is focusing. Wait, where are we actually setting this here? I think is activate on. If we have an activation target, we handle that. Otherwise, we do the focus thing. So here we also need to check then if the player has focus lens. So if we don't have it, we cannot start the focus. There we go. Right, so if we try it now, the player should I should be able to activate the focus, right? So we don't have anything there. What would be cool also would be to have a screen here that shows what upgrades you have. Yeah. That would be a good screen to have. Also, like, make icons for those. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to add the upgrade entity. So if we look here on entities, we have our upgrade lens entity, and we can call it upgrade lens. All right. And yeah. And then we'll go to the game code and we'll go to scene. And we will say items, devices, other upgrades. So this would be upgrade lens. It's kind of bad name, but whatever. It doesn't have any state. And why is that crashing now? Seems to work now, maybe. But we don't get diagnostics. We should be getting diagnostics in here, but we are not. So if I try to run, it should crash or not compile. Do we get it now? No. So we have to look in here. So I'm not sure what's going on with LSP. Maybe it's something to do with the build setup. Right, but here we need to add upgrade lens. Whoops. Not sure what I pressed there. Okay. We have down here as well. But over here, we don't really have a way to... We don't really have any... I guess we could add a new type of entity, like a upgrade type. Items, devices. Yeah, let's add upgrades. And I'm gonna copy items. Or actually, yeah, we'll copy this. And this will be the lens. Okay. Wait, couldn't I do this instead, like a hub lens? Then I don't have to do all this crap, right? I'm not sure how what I was doing before there. Okay, well, anyway. Hitbox. Sure. Initialize upgrade. Upgrade type. Is it gonna spawn? I think it's more gonna be idle, I think. And death, yeah. Sure. Probably better to name it pickup. Alright, so do we want to set it to be static? Because it's not supposed to be, yeah, it could be set to static perhaps. I'll set it to static. Solid is false, because they are supposed to be sort of floating or Yeah, the upgrades, they shouldn't be affected by anything like that. So we don't need to do anything with this. There we go. Upgrade system. When the spawn is done, we go to idle. Well, we don't really have spawn, so we can just remove this whole thing, and this, and that. Alright, and then we can remove this. Okay, so we don't actually have an upgrade system, I guess. We just create the thing and move on with our lives. Now there is like we could add like a pickup thing. The items do have pickup. We don't need air drag. No air drag because we're static. Now where is the pickup thing? Also collision groups. It doesn't really need to be in any collision groups. So we'll just remove this. Because those are only for like physical collision resolutions. All right. Is that it? Okay. Right, so now we just need this. Alright, so that center size is, I'm just gonna say this for now, and then this is true. There we go. Okay, so that's that. We need an int entity function. And oops. Let's open up some item here. I mean, we don't really need, well, I guess we'll do that. Yeah, basically all this. We don't even need, yeah, and then pick up. We can add a pickup thing for that. Okay. So I need this, yes. Vector. UID. Okay. Init item. Init upgrade. Oh yeah. Wait. Does this still exist? Oh yeah, this actually still exists. Okay. We don't really have the animation. but I need to create it, so well, I need animation container. Okay. Alright, let's create an animation. Because, yeah, I don't think we have one. No. Okay. This is going to be an animation of upgrade lens. Let's call it. Yeah, I have a little bit of mixed convention here. It doesn't really matter. It just matters that they are correct. Which one would this be? Is it items? No. It's in Pissling. Here. There we go. So, need an idle animation, which is going to be 16. There we go. All right. And we need death, which is when you pick it up. So I don't know. We'll just do this. That's fine. Maybe we'll have like a little animation, I guess. Oh, I see. No. Oh. Wait, save. Okay, this is... Okay, and then it goes back. I don't know, man. Fine. Alright, so now we have a little animation there. And it's called like this. See, this is the important part. It needs to match. Okay. Whoops. Okay. So let's go back to spawn. Upgrade type, lens, init. We don't have properties. Everything else should be the same. Yeah. It's probably going to be in front of the player, so that should be good. Upgrade type. Alright. What are we missing now? Oh yeah, because we can't. I mean, we can't export it like this, right? Yeah, and we can't do lens equal lens because then we get some sort of ambiguous. I think that's why I did it like that. To get the I guess it's, I mean, what you could do instead is say upgrades and then upgrades.lens. Yeah, I mean, why not, you know? Because then also, like if we go to device type, for example, all of these, boom, public. And we just remove all this. There we go. Way less boilerplate. Same thing here. Go here. Public. Remove all that. There we go. Can we run this now is the question. Nope. Right. So instead of calling this or implementing that, we can just do this. It's going to be the same thing in here. So monsters, items, oops, devices, and basically everything monster type dot is going to be monsters dot. Same with item. And device. There we go. Anything else? Intro. Okay. We could go to components, devices, what else do we have? Oh, those aren't actually. Okay, that's the only one that is actually exposed here. Interesting how I thought about that. So basically devices for before, yeah. Okay, monster 723. I mean, we don't even need. Can you just do that? Probably gonna need more stuff in here. Yeah. Let's try dot. No. Spawn. Wait. Oh no! Don't tell me there is some fundamental mistake here. Wait. Oh. I didn't do it for items. There we go. Oh, I see. This is called a toggle and not a toggle device. Oops. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now we're getting relevant stuff. No field member. Okay, get hitbox. Alright. Self lens. There we go. Except it's not used, so. There we go. Okay, so we have a compilation going. Let's see if we can go to our upgrade room and start from there. Okay, here's our upgrade thing. Right now it gives us a gem. So yeah, we need to implement so that it actually gives us the upgrade. And yeah, so here is the pickup thing. So what we could do, we could just add a new pickup type here. Yeah, the only thing you need is something that has an apply pickup function. And so actually we could say yeah, just the lens, because we know that what it's gonna do, so we don't really need to do that. We can actually put this, we can put this function on here actually. Pickup type. Yeah, that should be the same thing. However, for lens, we're just gonna have a function that is like pickup lens. And yeah, now I need to create that function. we need the play component. So registry get play component from player, play component dot upgrades dot has lens is equal to true, and then yeah, we are adding death, which, so it is disappearing immediately. But yeah, in the death system, if you have a death, animation, it's gonna spawn, it's gonna play the animation as well. Now, it would be cool if you when you pick up the lens, if it does some other things, you know, play music pausing while the death animation is played or something like that. Showing some sort of notification that you got it or something. But for now, we're just gonna set the upgrade to true, and that's basically it. That's what's gonna happen. It's gonna play its animation. It's gonna get disappeared. What we also need to do now is also save. We actually need to save this state. I mean, we have the focus lens, so we could just say, if we have the focus lens, we don't spawn this thing. So that could actually happen in upgrade here. We could go to our lens thing, and now it's a good thing that we don't have to return an entity, because we might not even create one. So here we can say, first let's get the player component. I would have to have the habit of saying l.utils.get play component registry. Okay, and I will check, do we have the focus lens? Then we don't create the thing. Alright, so now you go into the room again, it's not gonna respawn. You exit the game, you restart, well, you go in again, it's not gonna be there if you already picked it up. Great. Alright. Also, let's see, pick up lens. So this will be like an upgrade, I think. I mean, this could be like an upgrade, and then like an upgrade, pickup upgrade, and then you could pass the type of upgrade, I guess, as well. Because then it could look into, it could go back here, and we will have an upgrade function here instead. So we will say, okay, on pickup, we need registry. We also have access to the player at this point, so why not? And I guess you could also have an interface where you get our own entity as well. But we're basically set the focus lens to like this. Okay, So now, yeah, now the functionality it's like separation of concerns. This thing determines what's happening on the pickup, right? And what we can say now is say, okay, let's make something called like pickup callback com time t. So this is the type that's gonna have the thing, or it's just gonna be the function, I guess. No, we'll say it's t, because then we're assuming t is gonna have the on pickup, and then we're gonna call that with the context. Yeah. So now we'll return a function, apply pickup. Right. And we will get the callback, we will get the component t from the entity, and then we will call on pickup with register entity player. There we go. Right. So let's remove that. Wait, where is the thing? Yeah. So we'll not have lens, we'll have callback, pickup callback. Oh, but now we need, okay. Yeah, so what we could do, no, we don't know the type at this point, so I mean, we could just have the callback here. We could just say it's a function. Let's just function. It takes the registry. Can you name these arguments? There's void, right? And if it's a callback, we get the callback, and we just call the callback, right? And remove this. All right, now we have a generic callback thing. Here we say now callback is equal to on pickup, but we remove this here. There we go. Okay. Is this gonna run? No. Pick up. Right. Apply. Wait. No, okay. No, we need to change this now, so we need to just say pickup type. Yeah. We just need to shuffle that through. There we go. Okay. And let's go back here and we will test this out now. Okay, I don't have the upgrade. I need to do this again because I'm not restoring those machines. So that's why there's bug there. Okay, there we go. And now I can actually use it. Okay, cool. And I mean, yeah, there will be some prompt there saying, okay, you press this button to have something happen there. All right. Cool. And then we go back. Oh, it's still there. Why is it still spawning? That shouldn't happen. Have we not restored the player's state at that time? Let's check transition. Because I'm pretty sure if we start the game at that point, it should not be there. It is there. Okay. But we still have it. Okay. So it could mean that the player state is not restored at the point of spawning the entities. So we need to restore the player state before that. Let's check the transition function here. Alright, so we're storing stuff, we're unloading, we're doing restore and then restore. So this is where the magic happens. Load the scene, create entities, and then we do this, which restores primitive. So we could probably create the player before, because we need to do this after the player and before the entities, rest of the entities. So yeah, this, we remove this from here and we move it over there. Now we don't need these. Game. No. This is in level, create player. Yeah. Okay. Right, so we're creating player, we're loading, then we're creating it as this. Okay, let's just see if this loads at all. Okay. Unused function. Oh. This isn't used either. Okay, cool. Now we can create or delete all those. Okay, let's check this now. There we go. Now it's gone. And transition, it's gone as well. All right, cool. So yeah, we're able to get these sort of upgrades now. And if I go and remove my save here and go back, it should be there now. Yeah, cool. And then we get it, and then we have to use it. Okay, cool. All right, that was pretty simple. Yeah, and yeah, I would like to add a menu for the upgrades as well. So that would be cool. But we don't really have... Oh, I just thought about a cool way to do it actually. So we do have this upgrades struct here. Now it's basically just a bunch of bools. And what you could do is you can create a, I guess, upgrade description, like upgrade info or something. Upgrade info, which would include something like, you know, icon information, like how to display the icon, like texture ID maybe. Yeah, texture ID, or even texture components. Actually, no, texture ID is probably maybe texture name is even better. Texture name. Actually, it would be more like animation field. Animation key. So animation container key, and then also animation key. Well, that's going to be the idle, so we'll just use that. So animation container key, and because that's going to be enough. We know that the animation is idle, so we can just get like get texture component. So this would just be texture component. This, if we have the registry, we can just get first we get the entry animations is going to be a registry. Well, animation container is going to be this, and then animations is going to be container dot actually it's going to be field. We need self as well. Actually, this is like comp time. Alright, so this will be self dot key. Alright. I wonder if this works. That's really interesting to see. So now we have the animations, and then we can say, wait, yeah. So this is a animation instance. No, it is animations serialized. Wait, no, it's a C resource animations. That's right. C resource animations. There we go. All right. And then we can say data and get animation idle. This is the actual animation, and then we can return animation get what? Okay, or else unreachable. Get texture component. Oh. Okay, we need the texture ID. It's gonna be the animations data.texture ID. And the texture is gonna be texture by ID. Texture ID. Alright, then we have the texture, and then the index is 0. I think that, yeah, that's the frame index. Okay. It's a lot of stuff to get there, but basically, yeah, we're reaching into the container, we're grabbing the proper field, and we're getting the proper animation, and then we're also grabbing the texture, and then we get our texture component. So then we know how to actually, so from just, you know, which animation container, which animation JSON, or which animation resource rather we look at, we then know, yeah, we can then get the full icon basically from that. Okay, what else? We could have like description. You can have all sorts of things like label, description. Yeah, and then we can also have has upgrade. So this one would be, well, we need the player upgrades for this. Okay, could we use the field parent pointer for this? Yeah. So this field, this will be okay. This will be self upgrade field pointer is wait, what? How do we get this? Given a pointer to a struct field, returns a pointer to a struct containing that field. Oh. Okay, yeah, and this is not even supposed to be in the same struct, so yeah, this doesn't really work. We don't really have that data here. What we could say is, we could say, well, I guess we could still have the upgrade field, but then you have to provide the upgrades here. And we simply return upgrade field. But I guess, you know, we're kind of building a generic way of looking into these things. So what you would do now we have a way of saying, okay, what icon and do we have it, right? So now we say, okay, upgrade infos is going to be enums, enums, and then enum field struct, and this is going to be field enum of player upgrades, and the data is going to be upgrade info, and default is null. Okay, right, now this should be comp time because it's a const and defined over here. No, wait, this is the type. Yeah, that's the type. There we go. This is a type, and then we have upgrade infos, which we can make public, and this is an upgrade infos. Right, so now we need to populate this with all those fields, because otherwise there's going to be a compiler error, which we can see here. Soon, hopefully, or not. What? Wait, I'm pretty sure you have to. Maybe it's because it's not used. Okay, well, let's then go to menu, and we will add a new menu type. So inventory upgrades, I guess you can call it, or just upgrades. Upgrades menu. All right. And we'll copy this. Handle upgrades input. That, and draw upgrades so it's not really an item menu, I guess. We could use the same thing, sort of. Well, this isn't really an... Yeah, okay. We have like different item types. But yeah, we're not showing resource though. We're just showing ingredient and usable. Okay, let's just copy this, I guess. Put it down here. Draw upgrade menu. Well, okay, let's just put this in here. Upgrades. Don't need you. Okay, so here's the thing. Upgrade infos. So this would be player. No, let's just import for convenience sake. Game, no, player upgrade infos. There we go. So there's the upgrade infos, right? And yeah, we can use them in some way, but I will just make sure to call this function as well. So upgrades, upgrades. All right. Same for somewhere. You. Handle upgrades input. Right. So menu tags. Yeah, that should all be working. Right, so now what? Well, we have our upgrade infos. What we could do is we could loop through the... So this is a struct now. So what we want to do is we want to loop through the fields of this type. Okay. Now we can get the upgrade info by saying field upgrade infos. What? No, this is. There we go. Whoops. Field of name. Okay. So there's our upgrade info. Where did we put our... Okay, are we assuming that everything has... Okay. We should probably change this to be per call instead of hard-coded to 2. Because I was wondering where we determined that. So we can use the same function here because it's very... It's like generic... It uses item type. Wait, why? Okay, get texture. Okay. Okay, so this is... Well, basically this is all we use it for. So if we provide a texture, maybe... Because it's very easy to just call it, yeah, texture component. So let's say we provide a texture component instead. Instead of an item type. And then we can well, we can do that. And no, it's gonna be realized tag. that's the same for everything. Okay, cool. And then over here we can say texture component is going to be upgrade info, which is going to be player upgrade info. Okay. And yeah, that's gonna be get texture component. There we go. Maybe amount is nothing. So this determines the position and stuff. So let's get this information there as well. And let's remove this. All right. Wait, no, that's okay. Unused local. Oh yeah. So actually, yeah. How do we determine if we actually wanna draw the thing? Right. So we're looking at the amount. Right. So we are drawing the texture, the border. And then if amount is null, then we don't draw the actual icon, which is works well with the upgrade as well, because we don't want to draw the icon if we don't have it. Yeah. So actually, yeah. So amount, well, okay. So has the thing. Well, okay, it's gonna be a bit weird because the amount is actually, we don't want to draw the amount if it's like 1. We don't want to draw the text. I guess you could provide like options. Or this could be like a union. Let's just go with options. Draw item cell options. Oops. So we will say draw amount is a bool, and I guess we can set it to true. If options draw amount, then we do that. Cool. As upgrade equals to upgrade info, as upgrade, and then here we say if we have the upgrade, this is 1, else no. And then we also provide draw amount false. Okay. There we go. Missing struct field has focus lines. Okay, okay. Now we get the error because now we're actually using the code. So has focus lens. Yeah, that's gonna be equal to something here. So this is now gonna be upgrade info. So upgrade field is gonna be has focus length. What is animation container key? Is gonna be upgrade lens, I believe. No, upgrade lens like that. Okay. And if we try to run this, we're gonna get another error, which is gonna say missing struct field has double jump. Okay, so has double jump. We don't actually have an animation for this, so I'm just gonna use the same for now. And has double jump. And then what else? Has charge attack. Alright, now it should not complain here at least. Is it done already? Okay. Let me enable the controller. There we go. And here we go. You can see also we have 3 upgrades, and the one that I have is the lens one. So that's really cool. Yeah, so yeah, we're automatically looping through all the upgrades. Well, we have to define the animation key, but that's basically all we need to do in order to make that work there. Cool. I mean, I guess technically what we could also somehow take this, the name of this field, and we don't have to populate this by ourselves. If we make a different struct, I think here, so I mean, sure. I guess you could make maybe an array of these instead, and use like the index or something like that, or we could use the same. I don't know. Whatever, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, yeah, but we have like basically like upgrades now. We have a menu that we can see the upgrades. We have a little system here for easily adding more upgrades. We just need to add the sort of animations for it, and I guess the double jump, we could do that right now actually. The double jump, I'll just add like upgrade double jump, and because we do have sort of the graphics for that, so we just need the idle animation. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say 16 by 4 or something like that. Yeah, and that's the leaf that you see. I mean, you could now. Yeah, let's just pick that and then we're done. Okay, so now we have an animation called upgrade double jump, and we can use that instead. I guess we do need to add it to our animations. Oops. Where's there? Where do we get all these now? or maybe they were always there. I think I should probably just remove these. These are like the super old things. Yeah, they don't even have a version. Alright, let's see. Animations. Wait, where's the animation container? Here it is. Okay, upgrade lens. Upgrade double jump. Upgrade double jump. There we go. And I mean, we don't have it, so it's not gonna get shown, but if we force it to be there, so let's remove the save file, let's go to our player, and let's set this to true. Now we should have it. Oh, did I not? I mean, yeah, I can see that it actually functions now, which is nice. But this didn't work. Wait, did I not change this? Upgrade double jump. There we go. There we go. So now we can see, yeah, it's not centered here, but whatever. Okay, at least we have a rudimentary system for showing that. All right, but yeah, that's I think that's gonna be it for today. I have to go and sleep now as well. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff that we did. And whoa, I have a bunch of changes to the editor here. Yeah, I have to add those. Oh yeah, I added like fonts and okay, yeah. Let me actually add this. Added fonts and sounds. I did update project options as well. Added, or yeah, I added an entry scene option in project options. No. There we go. Alright. That is now pushed. And we have a whole bunch of stuff over here as well. Alright. Cool. Okay. Do we have anything here? No. Alright, anyway. So yeah, that's but that's gonna be it for today. So yeah, we made a whole bunch of stuff. I showed a little bit of the WebAssembly web-based version that is also available on the site there that I posted in the chat. And yeah, just to, you know, be able to share the game and for anyone who wants to play it, and also just to see if it was possible. Basically, that was the main reason to do it. I mean, it is nice if other people can play it and give feedback and stuff, mostly for like friends and stuff. But it was really interesting to see that it actually worked. It actually compiles into WebAssembler, and then you can actually run it in a web browser as well, like the whole game. So that is really cool. Although the gamepad support doesn't work, but at least it works with the keyboard. And we got to some other stuff as well, like upgrades, and yeah. some minor fixes and stuff. So yeah, but that's gonna be it for today. So thanks for anyone joining me, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.